Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Factor Cap Paranormal Files. So today, we're going to dive into some UFO sightings caught on camera, some of the big hitters, some of the Pentagon released ones, and I'm going to give my 2 cents. I have had a super interesting paranormal experience not paranormal, UFO experience when I was younger that involved me and my father. I will be saving that story for a different video just because I know I can talk about it for 30-40 minutes alone. I don't want to try and cram that into this. So let's go ahead, let's jump into this. Let's kind of have an open discussion on some of these and see what we think. So it looks like this is getting recorded by some sort of satellite imagery, potentially military. Super tough to see that one. It's very... I can see that it's trying to pick up on something like kind of in the middle of the crosshair right there. I assume it's switching between different light filters to try and see if it can pick it up. I feel like UFO videos are very similar to like ghost videos in the sense that it does kind of suck that we have such amazing technology and we still haven't been able to capture anything that's like... I mean, we do have some stuff that has been, released by the Pentagon as UFOs, so there's not really denying it at this point. I mean, the conversation of aliens and extraterrestrials is different from the conversation of UFOs, but it sucks that we still can't get like clean, crisp footage of a UFO. We're gonna fast forward on this one a little bit. We got a little bit better video here of... I mean, it's the same video, but it was able to zoom in. I don't know, it kind of just looks like a black void. I mean, it definitely looks like it's moving, but it's so hard to tell what it is. Looks like there's just an absence of color or light on whatever that object is. I mean, it could be... It's definitely moving. You can see him tracking it. I'm not going to be able to debunk some of the UFO videos quite like I'm going to be able to debunk, ghost videos, because I don't know what to look for in the realm of fake. I mean, I feel like UFO videos that are fake are super duper obvious, where the real ones or the potential real ones are kind of harder to disprove. Because I mean, what I'm looking at right now, like, yeah, you could totally fake this in like a editing software, but it's so basic and so like not extravagant, so it makes it, to me, that makes it seem like it's more real than it is fake. And whatever satellite imagery or camera is tracking this, like, it has some pretty capable zoom equipment attached to it. that I don't think you're gonna have just on everyday stuff unless you're have some pretty insane telescopes. Because look, wherever this is pretty far in the distance. It says 489 feet, and it's capturing this little dark pill-like. I don't want to use pill because I know that's what they're calling the declassified video that we'll get to here in a bit. I don't know, this one's super interesting. It could just be space junk that's getting picked up. Oh, this is on some sort of aircraft, I think. Like what the filming is from some aircraft. It's super tough to say. Like, this looks like clouds, so it's going, like, you're seeing it through clouds. Okay, we're getting into some weird stuff. Hold on. I haven't seen this video, so... Now it's starting to leave what looks like... I don't know. Like super dark exhaust? Or it almost looks like it's expanding itself out? That's super weird. And it's super weird too because like where it started doing that over here on the right just looks like stuck in air. And then it just stops. And keeps on moving. I don't know, like... I'm gonna assume that this isn't... Like... I don't know where this is filmed at. Like, they're obviously up in the sky somewhere. And it's not capturing... I don't know if it's zooming in or if it's shifting through filters and it can catch it on like a certain filter. That's what it seems like it's doing to me. Or it's like super duper zoomed in. But I don't know what that is. Like, it definitely looks like it's leaving some sort of exhaust. Okay. This video's a little bit loud. Bear with me while I adjust.
Look, nothing in the sky at all. Then all of a sudden, bam! What is that? Anybody tell me what that is?
That's pretty creepy.
We're in the middle of the ocean. On a ferry. Nothing around. Look. Nothing around. No land, no nothing.
I mean, that last one was obviously pretty creepy, but that could be drones getting launched. That could be Elon Musk's Tesla drones or whatever they're called. I mean, that I think that could be rooted in reality. It is pretty creepy, though, and if I did see that, I would immediately suspect it being UFOs. Okay, so everyone's pulled over and you see this object just kind of coasting across the sky. They started running near the end, though, so that kind of makes me seem a little bit like, why would they be running away? It almost seemed like a movie scene or something. I've seen this video. We all know that this is fake. Still a pretty good UFO video, though. Like, if that was real, there'd be crazier shit going on in the world right now. Super cool video, though. Really well done CGI. But they debunked that one a while ago. I have seen this one. This is from the Department of Homeland Security, so we kind of can say that they put this out there and it's not a faked video. Whether or not it's a UFO, who knows? So it started. Let's back up here. It's tracking this little object. It looks super small, but it's moving fast as shit. It almost looks like a ball or some sort of spherical like object. Could be meteor, but I feel like if it is, it would be leaving some sort of tail behind it. Could be something that broke off of a drone is flying down to Earth or some sort of military equipment. I don't know if that necessarily has to be I guess it's an unidentified flying object, but usually when we're in that using those terms, we're thinking like extraterrestrial, unidentified flying object or something from like the different avenues of UFOs or advanced aerial threats, which I think is not a good term to use, but what do you do? Passed over some traffic. This is just another weird one where it's like this thing's moving at a weird pace and it's just so not like anything that we have, or at least the public is aware of, technology wise. Like, it's possible it could be a drone, but unless it's a military grade drone, I don't think it would be going this far and this fast. And then it disappears. Like, it almost looks like it has some sort of cloak, some sort of like blend in or reflective ability. It's definitely, I don't know, it's definitely weird. I'm a lot more open-minded with UFO extraterrestrial talk, just because I think I lean more on the fence that aliens exist, and I think it's awfully arrogant to assume that we're the only we're the only conscious beings in our universe, that we don't even know the extent of how large the universe is. I feel like it would be extremely arrogant to claim that we're the only ones. And to be honest with you, the idea of us being the only ones, I think, is a worse reality than there being other, creatures, life forms that have the capabilities to travel through galaxies. It would be weird to think that we are really all alone. Or we're in a simulation, which would also equally be kind of depressing. I think this is the end of this video. Let's move on to the next one. I know that everyone who's into UFO videos has probably seen something like that.
By a local news crew in 1978. Believers say it's proof of UFO activity.
The Pentagon has confirmed a strange and unexpected sight captured by Navy personnel off the coast.
Okay, before we get into this one, because we're going to start talking about Jeremy Corbell and Bob Lazar, I assume, I wanted to go back to this one. I think we've all kind of seen this traditional style video from like the 70s, 80s, and 90s where it looks like there's multiple lights in the sky that are maneuvering around in weird ways, or almost look like they're connected in some sort of spherical upside down I forget how they compare it, but like an upside down sombrero, or a triangle type shape flying through the sky. And it's always tough to say, because when those videos are recorded from that time period, it's not that they're easier to alter, but the quality's such low that it could be a lot of different things, like especially when it's filmed in really densely populated places in the Americas, just due to the fact that there are so many cultural activities that revolve around fireworks and sending candles up into the air. Like, just here where I live, not too long ago, I went outside and I saw like 9 or 10 lights moving around really weird, and I was like, what the hell is going on? And then come to find out it was someone was doing a cultural activity because someone had passed away in their family, and they were sending up like candles in like almost like this bag type thing, and they looked like orbs of light just flying around in the sky. And if you didn't, if you were just like to catch a glimpse of it, you'd be like, oh my gosh, that's a UFO. So like, it's definitely something to consider when you're getting videos from high density populated areas, that it could be some sort of activity, could be people messing around. I mean, people have been messing around well before cameras were invented, so they definitely could be faked. But I think this is kind of like a very typical old school UFO video.
This film was captured by a local news
I don't
crew
know
in
what this is.
1978. Believers say it's proof of UFO activity.
Just looks like a dot.
Has confirmed a strange and unexpected sight captured by Navy personnel off the coast of California. The video shows flying pyramid-shaped objects hovering above the USS Russell and another warship.
It was leaked by filmmaker Jeremy Corbell. He's also shared 3 images from the USS Omaha showing an unknown spherical craft. The Pentagon has confirmed its unidentified aerial phenomena task force, what a task force that is examining the footage. Creator and editor of extraordinarybeliefs.com, Jeremy Corbell, joins us now. Jeremy, incredible vision. What sets this apart from other UFO sightings captured in the past?
Yeah, it's a pleasure, David and Nat. Nice to be with you. Nice to be with you, Australia. This is a truly global story. What separates this footage compared to other UFO footage you might see is that the U.S. Navy photographed and filmed these pyramid-shaped UFOs and transmedium vehicles. And as a journalist, I obtained and released some of this historic footage.
I don't think I've ever heard that term, transmedian vehicles.
With my mentor in journalism, George Knapp, and this has now, as you said, been directly confirmed by the Pentagon. So that is significant in and of itself, how quickly they confirmed that these reports are contained within their educational briefings for individuals in the military.
What's a transmedium vehicle?
Great question. So important. What they witnessed with the USS Omaha was an object that was able to break the air to sea barrier without destruction. So transmedium means it can move between air, space, and sea without destruction or impact. And that's what they're seeing with these true unknowns.
So the US Navy, someone on a ship attached to the US Navy shot it, did they?
Well, there's a lot of sensor systems on these ships, as you can imagine. I only released non-classified or unclassified imagery I was able to get my hands on, those videos. That's a hard thing to do. But of course, there are other systems that are completely classified. These are highly documented. Look, they're coming to our warships and surrounding them on a mass scale. And this isn't the first thing. This has been going on for a long time. You're just seeing an open government policy now to talk about it.
The Pentagon is expected to release a report on its findings in June. But what do you think it's going to show? And will they be honest?
So this new candor is astonishing, after so many decades of outright lies and, along with ridicule by world governments. I mean, the US government, the Australian government, the UK, they're all guilty of it, and they all work together on this. What we're seeing now is we're seeing changes in that environment, and that's what has started this congressional dig into this UFO topic. And this, report that we're going to be getting, well, now, because of what I released with George Knapp, they've got even more to talk about and explain.
I have a lot to dive into with Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp. I mean, if you're into the UFO world and paranormal in general, like, they're kind of, George Knapp specifically is kind of like the king, and Jeremy's definitely becoming a huge name. Obviously, he's worked a lot with Bob Lazar now, and all the documentaries he's done with him, and that whole entire case is absolutely wild and very fascinating. It is very strange to me that we are getting to a point now where governments, not just the US government, but foreign governments and, you know, Australia, UK, all the leading governments of the world are starting to make this new open door policy with UFOs, and it does have a bunch of weird thoughts and ideas across the communities that are involved in this, right? Like the idea that maybe they just can't hide it anymore and it's been going on forever. You know, as we are getting technology in our hands, we might be able to start capturing more and more evidence of these UFOs. Or is it a looming threat? Are they starting to get worried that it's becoming more and more of a potential hazard? And if they continue to not disclose stuff and something starts happening, they're not going to be able to rally people to be able to, you know, help defend if something like that would ever happen. Obviously, if you get into more deeper level theories with the con in front of that, because I think that's a red listed word here on YouTube, so I try to avoid using it. But the idea that maybe there are foreign and domestic governments that are fabricating UFO ideas, because if the world were to get attacked by a species or a threat that's off this world, it would allow for a lot of things to happen. I don't want to get into that theory too much because it's like, it's your typical rabbit hole. You can dig and dig and dig, but until something actually happens, we don't really know what's going on. But I know that that is one thing that gets tossed around a lot with some of this new openness of them willing to discuss UFOs and extraterrestrials. I mean, for me personally, someone who's believed in it since I was a young kid, I'm surprised that so many people still look at it as you're a whack job, or you're crazy or nuts to think that aliens exist. And to go back to what I was saying is, you know, we could have the argument if you believe that aliens have come to planet Earth or not. Like, that's totally fine to think that they haven't. I think that's a very, you know, a normal thought process to have, but to assume that nothing else exists is pretty arrogant. And I don't even know why you would want that. It would kind of suck to be the only things capable of conversation, capable of emotion and intelligence and all that all that goes into that, and we're just on a tiny speck of dust that is barely making it by. Like, in the grand scheme of things, like, Earth is, you know, really lucky that it's Earth, and, you know, we could be however many miles away and Earth wouldn't work, you know. So it's just, it'd be super arrogant to think that this situation can't occur somewhere else, and evolution of humans couldn't happen. Well, I don't want to say humans, but evolution of a sentient being couldn't happen somewhere else. Whether or not they've come, like I said, that can be a whole other conversation. I do fall on the category of, I do believe they have been here, and I do believe that they have been involved in some stuff throughout human history. I'm not talking like craziness, but if we just look at our ancestors and the things that they talked about and the artwork that they've created throughout different parts of the world, it's hard to deny what it seemed like they were trying to point out. And that's, you know, obviously if we weren't there, I wasn't there, I can't prove or disprove anything that I can't see, but I've had a personal experience that made me question my whole life if aliens have visited us or not. And I just, through everything that the previous humans have left behind for us, through artwork and, you know, different types of communication, it does seem like maybe they have been here in some sort of facet, whether it's just to observe or to get involved. I don't know. We'll have to see. Time will tell for sure. But if it doesn't worry you just a little bit that we're getting so much UFO stuff now, maybe dig into things a little bit more. I'm not talking about digging into crazy theories. I'm just saying there's people who work for the government who pretty much said, like, hey, we're past the point of telling you that these exist. They exist. We're now at the point of, like, needing to have discussions about them. And that's kind of where you have to really start opening your eyes to being like, okay, well, they're saying they exist. Government people are saying, here you go. This is what you've been asking for. They're out there. Let's start having those discussions. But why do they want to have the discussions is where I'm worried about. Let's continue with the video. So we're looking at, I mean, this definitely could totally be I've seen the Elon Musk drones, and it looked just like this, especially on a clear night. So, I mean, that definitely could be it, just with a shitty-ass camera. So it looks like this is in a cloud. I don't really know. It's tough to tell what we're looking. Okay, so you have potentially multiple things with 3 lights each, kind of in like a triangular formation. Some of them almost look like they have 4 lights.
Bad guys. What is that?
And I started videotaping, and when they got closer, that's when I started freaking out because I'm like, oh, what in the world is this? We actually didn't even know what to think. We didn't know what it was, where it came from. It just appeared. It was very quiet. It was actually very eerie feeling.
I mean, that's a hard one to really tell because it does look like it has blinking lights of sorts. Okay, obviously this is the big video that was declassified by the government. This one, though, I've never seen either. I don't know. It's really hard to tell because it does almost look like it slows down, which is weird.
Know what to think. We didn't know what it was, where it came from.
It has a very plain-like, human-like, I mean, like, human-created structure.
It just appeared.
But it's just so late, it's so dark that you can't really tell. And anytime people say eerie, they have an eerie feeling about something, I think they're just tricked themselves into being scared. It's like you either have a feeling or you don't. I don't think an eerie feeling. Okay, so this is obviously the part 1, and I think there's part 2 of the pill-shaped declassified video, and it's pretty wild.
Oh my gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude. That's not our LNS though, is it? It's not. That is an LNS, dude. Well, if there's like... Look at that thing. It's rotating.
Look how fast it's going.
Nickel 6-1 Tango Logic, over. Oh, got it! Woohoo! Roger, there's troubleshooting as soon as I get Did you box moving target? No, I took an auto track. Oh, okay. Oh my gosh, dude. Wow, look at it fly!
They're so excited, and that's cool to me. They're just like, you know, they know that whatever that is, like, is pretty amazing. And that was the voice and the sounds of them, like, you know, if you ever had like a breakthrough in your life or you ever discovered something like by yourself or whatever, like that's the sound you make. Like, they know that they're seeing something that who knows what it is, but they're the first people probably ever seeing it. it, there's just so many theories that go into it, right? Like, it was down by the water, you know, or these things coming and checking the water. I think that one thing that we don't talk about, or at least we haven't talked about for a while, I mean, I know that's growing popularity in the UFO theories and whatnot, is these unidentified flying objects, the idea that they have to be piloted by, you know, actual creatures seems kind of like a old school mindset, because even how us humans do things now, we send drones, we send unpiloted things because we can control it better and there's not a risk of casualty. So why is it so far-fetched to think that if now if you think aliens exist and you think that they're visiting, why would they send their people to investigate when they could send a drone? You know, because I imagine if, let's say we all wake up tomorrow and we find a planet that we could send a drone to through whatever way we can, or send that we could visit in one way or another, we're not going to send people first, right? We're going to send drones, we're going to send rovers, we're going to send, you know, unmanned crafts to like check shit out first, and then maybe send people if it seems like a good idea. Obviously, when you start talking about UFOs and unmanned versus manned crafts, we have to talk about Roswell and the idea that, you know, the first people who got interviewed there said that they saw things get out of whatever crashed there. It's definitely possible. Roswell is a mystery to me, as it is to most people. It's a very There's a very interesting time in history for something like that to happen. I mean, it could possibly have been some sort of, you know, at least America, a foreign, you know, a foreign craft coming to do something here and it crashed. It doesn't have to be an extraterrestrial or anything like that. It was eerie that how fast the government was able to clean that up without any type of real evidence to come from it, besides we know that something crashed in Roswell and it wasn't from America. You know, so that's just a really eerie one. I don't I've done a lot of research in Roswell, and I feel like it's just been beaten to death over the years, so I don't really want to. If you want to hear about Roswell, I'm sure I can make a video for you guys about it, but I think that that's one that's just been done so much. These new ones, though, are very fascinating. I mean, we're looking at something that it has the shape of what we would consider a UFO, and if a collective people believe Bob Lazar, which, man, I fucking sit on the fence with him sometimes. I believed him, and then I didn't believe him as much when he did Joe Rogan's podcast, but now I believe him again. He's a tough cookie to crack, because I don't think he gains anything from coming back into the limelight to discuss his findings or tell his story. But if we do believe Bob Lazar, this looks exactly like what Bob Lazar was talking about, was at the facility he worked at. And that makes things even more interesting, because now we have video proof of a UFO that the government has said is a UFO, and it looks like what Bob Lazar talked about, thus giving him at least a little bit of credibility. And if we add all that up, and Bob Lazar is credible, then he personally, if we want to go this route, has said that they exist, that we have alien technology, that we've studied and reverse engineer alien technology. And he's done it with his hands, and other humans have. And it just, in my eyes, that's really fascinating. You know, I'm not someone that, do I think that they should tell us more? Yeah. But with where society is right now, with where America is right now, I don't think that we are at a mindset that deserves it. There's so much that goes on that shouldn't be still at this point in 2021. I'm not going to get into anything. I don't do politics. I don't do anything that is of that nature. But the way that people treat each other is still so shitty. And I could 100% understand why the government doesn't trust people or trust the general population with stuff. And that is our own fault as a society. You know, we could point the fingers at whatever we want to point the fingers at, but if I was a person making decisions and I looked at where we're at as a society right now, I wouldn't declassify anything either. We're not ready. We're not at a level of intelligence where the general population could handle that. We just aren't. There's a lot of people who are. I'm sure people watching me at this point feel like they are. That's cool. I agree. But a lot of us aren't. There's a lot of people on this planet that aren't ready for anything more than they can find on their Facebook page or scrolling through TikTok for 2 or 3 hours. They aren't ready for this type of shit. So we'll slowly roll it out, and maybe, you know, focuses will change, but, you know, I definitely understand why it is a slow rollout. I mean, we still got people. I don't want to get into it. It's not worth my time or energy, but there's people on this planet that definitely suck. We'll just say that. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this episode, guys. I think there was like 1 or 2 more videos, but they're nothing special. Let me know what you guys think of UFOs in general. If you've made it this far, you rock. I appreciate you. I know this turned into a longer video, as a lot of mine do lately, because I just love fucking talking, and just kind of what I do. If you agree with me on any of them, let me know. If you disagree, please feel free to share your opinions. I love to hear it, especially on these type of videos. I will next week be trying to find some sort of a different type of cryptid to look into. I was thinking maybe Mothman, even though Mothman was debunked, but it did get some. It was back in the media for some reason, and I just think that's interesting. Might just find like some sort of cryptid footage to go over, maybe another Bigfoot footage. It seems YouTube has turned into a weird thing to try and search for stuff, because I just get a lot of fake things and not like real footage. For those of you who've been on YouTube for, you know, as long as I have, back in the day, like, you would search something and you would just get video after video of ghost footage, UFO footage, Bigfoot footage. Now, I don't know if it's just buried in the trillions and trillions of videos that are up on YouTube, or if it's taken off, or it's just harder to find, but it takes some digging to find a video worth going over, and I'm not just gonna push out random ass dumb videos, because I'm doing this because I love doing this, not because I want to push out videos. So. Anyways, thanks a ton. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.